there are rumours and discussions in the lobbies of Parliament about eliminating the Ministry of Women's Affairs to downsize the structure of the government, the same government which is publicly committed to gender equality.
مقصد اصلی به وجود آمدن وزارت امور زنان از سال 2001 به این طرف که ایجاد شده، هدفش است که ایجاد فضای مناسب کاری، ایجاد فضای مناسب کار و زندگی را برای زنان فراهم بسازد.
For the actual Minister for Women, her challenge is not from the countryside. It is very much from inside the government. Parliament has been trying to close the Women's Ministry itself. And given the apparent offhand and joking attitude of some male colleagues, none of the 25% of women can be complacent.
Less than a week before the presidential elections in Afghanistan, the main candidates have spent a day travelling across the country in an effort to win votes. The current president, Hamid Karzai, is the frontrunner. He flew to the western city of Herat to address thousands of supporters. His main challenger is the former foreign minister, Abdullah, who travelled to the central province of Daiqundi. He's been speaking to the BBC about how he would try to improve security in the country.
With elections looming, last-minute preparations are underway. These helicopters are ferrying ballot boxes to the remotest parts of the country. With 15 million voters, it's a massive logistical challenge. Candidates are engaged in nationwide campaigning in what's seen as a closely fought race. Here's the current president, Hamid Karzai, regarded as the man to beat. He sees himself as a unifying leader. Vying for a second term, President Karzai has been wooing female voters. The incumbent told the women if he won the election, he'd invite them to form part of a future government, as well as for a cup of tea. But political flirting aside, this campaign's proving tough and bruising. President Karzai is facing fierce criticism and strong challenges. Hamid Karzai's main opponent is Dr. Abdullah. In a BBC interview, he set out his vision for the country.
My first target will be thousands and thousands of people who have joined the Taliban ranks because of other grievances. All those who have joined the Taliban are not among those who would like to destroy the country, take Afghanistan back to the old days. There are thousands of people who have joined them because of injustice, because of corruption, because of socio-economic circumstances.
The vote will take place amidst the war raging in the south and the east. It's set to be no ordinary election. Martin Patience, BBC News, Kabul.
Speaking home truths is dangerous here. We're going to a secret location to meet a woman MP who has to live in hiding after speaking out about corruption and women's rights, and she has to hire a small army to protect her. Malalai Joya insists on breaking the traditional rules.
Situation for women in most of provinces is like hell.
She's campaigning against a new law which permits men to rape or starve their wives for denying them sex. But her main attack too is on corruption.
Billions of dollars the government received. Most of people day by day suffer from poverty, joblessness.
The West is fighting extremism in Afghanistan, but there's not been an equivalent war on poverty and ignorance here.
British troops will now be a less visible presence on the streets in Helmand, with Afghan police and soldiers providing the main security around the polling stations. But British soldiers are here on standby in case anything happens. Tomorrow, these women are daring not just to vote, but to stand as provincial candidates. Karima says she wants people in Helmand to take part, in the hope that by defying the insurgents, the Taliban's power to intimidate will crumble. But after the devastation of yesterday's suicide bomb in Kabul, some may not want to take the risk. President Karzai has told journalists not to report any fresh attacks, in case they frighten voters into staying at home.
Well, free speech is something which Afghans did without for many years. This election is an opportunity for them to make their voices heard, though many face the threat of violence from extremists. We asked people on the street to share their hopes and fears about tomorrow's vote.
I want to see Afghanistan rebuilt on solid foundations. I ask for a compassionate, peace-loving and honest president with integrity. In my personal life, I wish for peace and security in Afghanistan. I hope for a secure environment where we can work, study and have a better life, like in other countries.
I have my polling card and I want to take part, but my family doesn't allow me. They say the situation in Afghanistan on election day is unstable and something might happen. So even though I have the card, they don't let me take part and vote.
After the presidential elections, whoever wins, I hope to see peace and security in Afghanistan. I hope for these things and long-term success, so that I can help my country and people.
And we will, of course, have full coverage of that election tomorrow.
The Taliban have tried to disrupt this election and intimidate people into staying away. Shamsuddin lives across the road. He and his sons cowered while bullets flew into their living room. An unusual election day for anyone. But undeterred, he still plans to vote. There have been some remarkable changes in this country. Women queuing to vote is still a powerful image. What they want is simple: stability and some progress. But after decades of war, no one expects this election will achieve all that.
Come back here to Kabul, to the really centre of the country, of course the administrative part. We're joined here by the Afghan Member of Parliament, Shukriya Badakhsai. Shukriya, you're dressed in the colours of Afghanistan. Can I take it that you're saying this is a good day, however imperfect, for your country?
For sure, for me this is a national day, because again the Afghan nation, with all these threats, they are trying to practice and use and enjoy democracy, equal rights for men and women, and they are coming to polling station, regardless of what was their threat and what was happened yesterday and today across the country. But still this nation and these people want to pass successfully the democratic exercise for the country.
Shukriya, both you and I were here at the Zerguna Girls' School 5 years ago when it was an emotional, euphoric moment, the first presidential elections. The queues went right around the block. It seems very different today, very quiet.
We can't compare today Afghanistan with 5 years back. For sure, 5 years ago, we don't have such a number of threats, which is today we had. Today the threat comes from insurgent side, today threat comes from the candidate themselves side, and today threat comes from what was happened. Even today there was lots of attack, and there was a not demonstration but a kind of rumors for to be a big demonstration, which is 5 years ago. The polling station wasn't that much large like today. This is why maybe people want to go to the nearest polling station rather than coming and crossing a long way of their home. But still, I'm not saying that the same excitement people are having on their heart for today's election, but I just want to say for the rest of the world, look at the nation with all these threats. They comes out from their home and they want to pass that exam successfully. Whatever is the result of election, I really don't want to talk about it, but what was important for me today, again, we stand for the values which is we want to build for our country. This is democracy, and this is why people comes out from their own home. And with such a circumstances, extremely hard to believe that because lots of attacks, because of lots of other rumors, people will keeping concerned, but see young girls, boys, they're coming and they're using their own vote. So this is, I think I'm very excited about it, but for sure it's not like 5 years back. Lots of things changed.
It's a new time, but hopefully there's a new future for this country.
Hope so.
Shukriya Badakhsai, Member of Parliament, thank you very much for joining us here.
All right, Lise, thank you very much.
The Taliban threatened to cut off the fingers of those found with indelible ink, showing they've been to the polls. But this woman voter from a nearby village proudly held up one defiant inky finger to the Taliban.